I'm Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Angela.
We are the Ink Mages. Join us as we discuss all things fantasy, world building, storycraft, myths and legends, and of course, our own imaginative stories. Welcome to the Ink Mages podcast. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to be doing a writing tip episode. I call it my editor's corner. So I'm excited to be talking about filter words. And if you're not sure what that is, don't worry. We are going to be diving in and explaining it with easy examples for anybody who is just starting to write or you're polishing a manuscript. This is going to be very helpful for you.
Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how important this is and how important it is for you to have grace for yourself to learn these things as a writer. But first, we just wanted to remind you all what's happening this month with the Ink Mages. We are this month of September heading towards Forks, Washington for the Forever Twilight in Forks Festival. I keep wanting to call it convention.
Yes.
It is a convention, but it's a festival.
It's a convention, and there's a lot of F's. It's like Forever for Twilight Festival in Forks. I'm like, that's.
I know it is. It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
I know. I get the words mixed up. So
yeah, and so I always have a hard time spitting it out without saying convention. But I'm so excited because I'm going to be flying. I'm in Texas and we're flying to the Pacific Northwest, which is my home. And I get to hug Stephanie. So we actually get to be together. So be paying attention to our social media because we'll definitely be posting some pics as we road trip from Oregon up to Washington together. And we're hoping, we don't know what it's all going to look like. It's a big, long trip to Forks. But we're hoping to maybe do some little lives and some clips. Who knows? We might even be able to do an episode. If we don't manage to do an episode while we're there, we're definitely going to do a highlights once we get back. So be tuning in for that. It's going to be a really fun adventure for our books, just to be able to be together. And so it's going to be fun. So stay tuned and be paying attention.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So let's dive into eliminating filter words. All right. So what exactly is a filter word? It is, well, filter words are words that force the character to act as a filter before the reader gets the information. So a couple examples are she thought, he heard, they saw, she realized, I watched. So oftentimes these start at the beginning of a sentence and then they deliver the information. These, like I can pretty much say 100% of the time, they are not needed. They're not necessary. Whether you're writing in first person or third person limited, if we know who the protagonist is, we automatically understand they are the one experiencing these things without having to be told. So this is kind of like the telling, show, don't tell. We don't need to see through the protagonist's lens here. We already are in their lens. So just deliver the information. Okay. Yeah.
And I think this is really be paying attention as Stephanie is talking about filter words, and all of this stuff is so important and valuable to learn as a writer. It will make the reading experience so much more powerful for people picking up your book. And it is a big lesson to learn as writers. And I just want to pipe in and say, I was a filter queen. I still have filters all throughout my stuff. And sometimes it's after you've written your rough draft and you're going through it to be able to pay attention to these details and eliminate those filter words. But what I want to say to a lot of the writers who are listening to this episode, or people who are aspiring writers, and have grace for yourself as you're learning this. I did not come into the game with all of this experience. I thought I knew grammar, and then I learned that fiction was a whole other ball of wax when it comes to knowing your genre and the specific audience that you're writing to, and then things like this. So have grace for yourself and know that this is something that can be learned. Maybe it doesn't reflect on your first rough draft, but it is something that you can learn. And as you grow, you'll start to see less and less of this in your writing.
True. In the first draft, it's just about telling yourself the story. So however you need to get it out. And if you have the filters, fine. If that just helps you get the sentences, that's go for it. It's fine. So this is more of like when you're revising, and then as you write more, you're going to find that you just naturally eliminate it. You don't even start a sentence with these filters. So that's the goal.
Reprogramming your brain as you write.
Yes, it is. It is reprogramming. So why is it important to eliminate filter words from your story? So number one, it makes the narrative tighter and increases the pace. If you want your story to have like a sense of urgency and fast pace, just eliminating filter words is instantly going to make like a paragraph and a page just like pop. All right. It reduces narrative distance and helps readers feel more immersed and connected to the character. That is ultimately the goal. It reduces word count and wordiness, always a plus. It places the reader directly into the action, and it makes the action pop off the page.
I think that's probably the biggest, those points are some of the biggest details as to why filter words. It slows down the action, and it can make it to where your reader takes a deep breath and stares off into space instead of staying invested as each sentence rolls into the next, and they're really invested. So keep this in mind as you're writing.
Exactly. So we're going to give a couple of examples because that always helps to be able to see and hear the difference. All right. So this is a sentence with filter. She watched blood arc through the air. It's on a woman watching blood arc through the air. So like I am visualizing now a woman standing there and like watching the blood arc through the air. Okay. We want the focus to be on the action. So this is without filter. Blood arced through the air. So now the focus is on the action of the blood doing this motion. It's a stronger sentence and the action is tighter. Now look at the easiest way to get rid of this is I just removed she watched. It's totally unnecessary. The sentence is shorter, it's more powerful, and we already know whoever like your main character is a woman here. We already know she watched it because it's from her point of view.
Right.
Just saying blood arc through the air means she saw it.
Yes. The reader surprisingly doesn't have to be told that. If you're already in the head of your character, we don't have to be told that she's watching it. We know that she is, which seems weird as a writer. Sometimes you do feel like you need to tell your audience, but really, again, just like when you're watching a movie, you know that the character is seeing this happen.
Yes. So here's another example, and this is just a couple more sentences together, and then you can see the difference. She looked at the apple's vermilion skin. She bit into it and tasted its sweet crunch. She felt relief after a hungry morning. So that's pretty wordy and a bit clunky. So here's how we'd make it better. The vermilion apple, sweet and crunchy, brought welcome relief after a hungry morning.
Yay!
We don't even have the word she in there. It's understood if we are in her point of view. So, and let's see how many words were eliminated. 10.
Wow.
So much more concise. Unnecessary words just bog down our story and they will fatigue the reader. The last thing you want is the reader to be rolling their eyes and be like, oh, like the exposition gets just too wordy, so they skip it and just go to the dialogue. You don't want that to happen.
Yes.
All right, other filter words to watch out for. So we'll just say editor's corner here. You can easily find these words by just doing a find and replace on whatever document you're using. If you're using Google Docs or if you're using Word, just when you've finished your first draft and you're going through revisions, start looking at like heard, saw, felt, decided, words like that. And you can easily just eliminate them and restructure your sentence. So here's some more filter words to watch out for. I know. He assumed. They believed. He experienced. She decided. I wondered. They noticed. She smelled. We don't need these And so sometimes, although like sometimes the filter distance can fit a scene if you
Yeah.
want to slow the pace suddenly or show our character feeling something outside of their body, as if something is happening in slow motion or they aren't processing it well. But I feel
Yeah.
like hands down, 95% of the time, I'm going to just eliminate it altogether because I don't find it's necessary. So
All you kind of need to
it's,
do in a lot of these situations is tell us what they know or what it
mm,
is they assumed. What are they smelling? So instead of
yes,
saying they smelled, like give us the experience and we'll know they're smelling
yes,
it.
yes.
It's
Like
another one is like
the
go ahead.
floral aroma saturated the room, and it nailed
Yes.
it, yay.
Yes. No, we don't have to say smelled. Another one is like,
Yes,
it sounded like, or
right.
the word sound. What was the sound? I find sometimes
Yes,
it's hard not to use sound, but still there are a lot of active verbs that you can use in place to let us know, oh, this is something that they heard or
right.
there was the sound of.
Yeah, because you could go with boomed. Just say what boomed, like
Yeah. Cracked, boomed. Yeah.
electricity sizzled, not the
Yeah.
sound of electricity sizzled. Or,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now we're just
Yeah.
getting too many verbs and descriptions, and just be more concise. And
Yeah.
removing filter words will help with this.
Get that thesaurus out. I can't even write without my thesaurus. And there is a really good one that an app that you can download that I love. It's called Word Hippo. So if you don't have that app, you should. And the reason I like Word Hippo is it gives a lot more variety of words. Sometimes I don't know if you've noticed, you go to a thesaurus like thesaurus.com and it only gives you a few word suggestions. And you're like, I know there's a lot more words than this that could be synonyms. And Word Hippo has a lot more. And they also have a lot more vocabulary as far as it includes British English as well as American English.
Ah,
You have to watch out though, because the spelling of the word sometimes could be recommended to you wrongly. But
right.
it is a really good app if you're trying to come up with words like what's another way to describe boom or crackle or
Mhm.
whatever. It's really helpful.
Does it give you examples of the word in a sentence or no?
If you so it gives you all the synonyms. You can click on the word that you're interested in, and it'll give you a more of a description of what that word means and all of the definitions of it. But no, it doesn't give any like sentence
Okay.
examples.
Just curious, because yeah, I use thesaurus.com, and sometimes I will switch to the dictionary side because sometimes I
Ah,
need to double check. I'm like, does this
yeah.
word really mean what I think it means? And then they'll
Yes.
put it in the sentence, and I'm like, nope, not gonna use that one. So, but word hippo, that's great.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
So, all right, so back to like the filter. Sometimes it might be necessary, but when it dominates our prose, it prevents the reader from immersing themselves fully into our story. So that's where like if you've 95% cut out the filter and only a couple of places it's used, you know, that's going to be tremendous. And
Yeah.
your book is going to stand out from other books out there because there's a lot of people publishing books.
Yes.
And when yours feels really immersive, readers are going to love that and they're going to recommend it more.
Yeah, and Stephanie and I were even just chatting before we started recording about how a lot of people who are wanting to submit their work to publishers and agents, and sometimes it's details like this that make the impact and make your book seen. We love it if these agents and publishers were looking at the story quality of our books instead of just all of the grammar and all of those little things. But the truth is, they want to see that you have already kind of learned some of these lessons in fiction writing. So this is a big one. And it's one I'm still learning. This one, I have to keep running my drafts through the wash. And Stephanie certainly helps me out with my filters. I just had a rough draft of my new story that I'm in the beta read process of, and she caught so many filters. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's so many filters in this. And that's okay. So I get to rewrite and make my draft even better.
Yes. It's even more polished for the beta reading stage. And I'm glad you mentioned this because I remember I was on, well, it might have been Twitter at the time, but X. And I saw an agent post a tweet that said she was specifying things that will be an instant pass for her when a manuscript
Mm,
comes into her inbox. She said if she sees a single filter word on the first page, it's an immediate pass.
wow.
So, when you are querying agents and publishers, everyone, it's subjective. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Someone who has more of an editorial background, like me, I might be like her. If I see filter on the first page, I'll be like, gonna
Right.
be a pass because now I'm gonna expect to see that throughout the story.
Yes.
Now, other agents and publishers might be just like, ooh, I really like the premise, so I'm willing to overlook that to kind of get to the nitty gritty of the story. So just keep that in mind. But if you can eliminate it, you're gonna be like a step ahead of other
Yes.
people also submitting.
It increases the power of your storytelling too. It really is a skill that you want to have as a writer.
Yes. So in summary, eliminating filter words creates smoother prose, stronger action and tension, and deepens immersion for readers.
Thank you for joining us on this episode. Please share this podcast to other writer friends. I think we have to keep in mind that we need a community of writers as authors and those who are wanting to get their books published, that it helps having people in your corner teaching you these things and helping your writing mature. And for those of you who are like, oh man, I have filters all throughout my manuscript. Hey, we all were there at the beginning, and we've all gone through this process of learning how to show and not tell and removing our filters and all of these things. And you do grow. Like I said, you reprogram your brain, you get better at this as time goes, and be willing to help those who haven't gained that skill yet to learn these things. So share this episode with your writer friends, help that writer community out, help it grow, help them feel like they can and do have stories that are important, and they can learn these skills to help their stories have impact. So be sure to join us Ink Mages on our journey to Forks, Washington, as we celebrate Twilight and all of the people who are going to be joining us there. And also, please stay tuned. Our episodes in September are going to be great. We've got some great authors that we're going to be interviewing and some more tip videos coming your way. So please leave us a like, leave us a comment. Let us know what you would like the Ink Mages to talk about next. And we can't wait to see you next time.